dudes and dudettes, homies, and homesses. I have the session for Logic open here, and I'm just going to break it down and show you everything I did to make this song. Alright, so diving in the intro, we've got this here. Everybody always asks me, Michael, how did you make that sick synth sound? Well, it's a loop. But I have just a little bit of ear candy here. That was a guitar that I played, and then I just put a bunch of delay on it. Really subtle vocal impact right there. And then I played this little riff on the guitar. Right at the end, I kind of wanted it to be a transition moment, so I took the guitar that I played and I pitched it down an octave. Moving into the chorus, we have that main synth that's playing throughout the entire song. I pitched it up an octave and kind of layered that in low in the mix. And then I added this guitar here. Originally it was all just one note, so I threw it into Melodyne and then I pitched each note down and I put a slide on it. And then we have our drums. We've got our kick. I added a little top kick to help it punch through. Every song in the world uses a snare, and so for this I was like, screw that, I'm gonna use a wood block. And so here's our snare wood block. To make it more interesting, I have kind of a sticky sound that's hitting right before. Then I added a ride cymbal that's just hitting every quarter note. And I've got Pan Man on here that's just making it pan from left to right. I wanted to add a little bit more interest in the drums, so I added these kind of sticks hitting. Very last thing in this chorus, these impact vocals that just hit on the downbeats. Because the lyrics say Super Smash Nintendo, I wanted to put kind of a Mario sound after that lyric. So I found this sample of a coin. Okay, moving into this verse, I basically just stripped it back and all we have is the synth layer and the vocal at first. Breaking into hotel pools. In order to emphasize certain words and keep it interesting, I did a couple distorted vocal effects on certain words. So on I Know right here, I used Little Alter Boy to pitch it both up super high and down super low. Also later in the phrase. Here in this pre-chorus, I added back in the kicks and the wood blocks. Okay, so this pre-chorus, it kind of slows down so we can create a moment. So I have this re-space. We have these bells kind of hitting. And then lastly, I just added this soothing pad in the background. A lot of the heavy lifting in this section is in the background vocals. I added a bunch of doubles and harmonies and I panned them every which way from left to right. So we have this melody in the bells, and then I wanted that to be like more upfront and distorted right before the chorus. I chose this different synth that was a little more aggressive. And then of course we have the Donkey Kong toms coming into the chorus, which was another nod to this like Super Smash Bros. Nintendo theme we have going on. I just found one tom sample that I liked, and then I pitched it down to different notes, and then I panned each one hard left and hard right. So we end up with this. Chorus 2 just adds on a couple new layers. I added some shakers and tambourines doing 16th notes, and I feel like that gives it a lot of movement and energy. Then I added these like hand claps of doom. I found this free distortion plugin called Spaz, and then I just cranked it way up. It makes those hand claps sound crazy. Of course, gotta have the 808 bass. I used Sublab for this, and then I bounced it in place. The bass is super fundamental to the chord structure of this song because in the synth part, it's not always playing the root note. And so I really wanted that 808 to punch through on phone speakers. In order to do that, I just distorted it. I used Saturn 2 here, and so you can see that it's kind of like saturating this mid-range. System overload! A technique that I use and abuse a lot is for verse 2, I'll just copy over everything from verse 1 and then put a low pass filter over it. I have all of my instruments bust out to this all instrument track, and then I'm using one knob filter and automating it down just for this first half of verse 2. As a transition into the second half of verse 2, instead of using a riser, I decided I just wanted to kind of sing a scooped note. It's kind of like a Tarzan-y, like calling out to the wild. I used Manipulator to pitch it up an octave and add a bunch of reverb. Altogether, it sounds like this. In the final chorus, all I did was I added a stomp on some of the offbeats. And it gives it almost kind of a trashing the camp feel. I had to bounce a couple things in place because my computer's crappy, so please watch this video and share it so that I can make enough money to buy a new computer. To add some more atmosphere, I made these crystallized stabs. It's almost kind of like in the horror movies, like I made a synth pad out of my humming, with a crazy ton of reverb on it. In the guitars, we have a couple things going on. First, we have this sparkly riff that I played over the chorus. For the very last chorus, I wanted it to feel epic and set it apart from the chorus before. So what I did was I made a gang vocal that kind of takes over where you have this choir, and then I'm kind of singing some ad-libs on top of that. By the way, I learned this early on. If you call it a choir vocal, it sounds lame. If you call it a gang vocal, it sounds dope. If I open up my gang vocal folder, it looks like I have an insane amount of layers. There's probably like 30 layers of me singing, and then I've panned them all hard left and right. I used a de-esser because you really want to cut those S's out. We have Pro Q, cutting out most of the lows and a lot of the mids. A ton of compression that's kind of squashing it. In order to make it feel more epic, I used a stereo delay. So basically half of the signal is being delayed on the left versus the right. It gives it a very wide open feel. And lastly, I used the most goated reverb, Raum. I think that's German for room. So I pushed the lead vocal down a little bit, bring the gang vocal out, and then added a bunch of ad-libs for this last chorus. For this very end, I didn't cut any instruments out. I just did a low pass filter again over the whole instrument bus here. And there's just a little bit of resonance on it, so you can really feel it when it goes. And as a transition effect on top of the low pass filter coming in, I thought it would be cool to strike a match. As you know, I like to hide Jaycee in all of my songs, so I thought it'd be cool to put her singing along with me at the end, because the whole narrative of the song is you're in this relationship and it's going so well, but then the person that you're with starts having cold feet, and it's your effort to like abandon all logic and do everything you can to win them back and convince them to keep going forward. And so almost in kind of a storytelling way, I thought it would be cool to layer in Jaycee's voice with my own at the end of the song. That's my wife, everybody. And so layered in with my vocal, it sounds like this. 'Cause we're the only thing we need. That's the breakdown of Logic. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. It's a pretty simple song when you strip it back, but I think it came together really cool. I loved experimenting with using a woodblock instead of a snare, and I love the story behind it as well. This song is going to show up on an upcoming album that I am working on currently, and it's going to play a pivotal role in telling the story of the whole arc of the album. So stay tuned, more music coming very soon, and I'll see you guys next time.